All right, today is June 24th. Got some news. Car's going for a camshaft and spring swap on the 10th of July, so we'll be slipping a new bum stick and some springs into this thing. Aside from that, car's been driving great. Really no complaints and or issues aside from the fact I do think I am going to go over to a McLeod RXT. I don't mind the monster clutch that's in this car. It's just the 18-pound flywheel was such a bad decision for a street car. You really have to give it gas to get it to slip correctly, and I'm just not a fan of that since you look like an asshole driving through town, tacking it up to 1600 RPM just to get rolling. That will be a project for this upcoming winter since I don't want to pull this car apart that much during the summer when it's nice out, even though it's almost 100 degrees here, which is why the door is closed for the time being. But we'll be doing a pressure plate, clutch and flywheel, probably put a new throwout bearing and a slave cylinder in the car at the same time just to be safe. Maybe a new pilot bearing if I can get one that'll work with this crankshaft, since this is not a factory GMLS crank. This is an aftermarket 4-inch stroke K1 forged crank. I'm still on the hunt for an HSV or a VY Sport steering wheel in Australia to send to Gary West, along with ordering a new OEM shift boot and a color match stitched center console and an e-brake boot. So that's going to be stuff to do this upcoming winter. But before we get into what today is about, and a project I've been putting off for quite a while, finally got my parts for, is we will go take a look at the Ford Stars that I picked up back in February, and we'll talk about the story behind that. So in February I picked up this set of wheels. They were gloss black. The whole finish was beat to shit. And these ended up getting shipped down to Texas, had the old tires pulled off, threw them away because they were junk, just recycled them. And this was supposed to be, from what I was told, a 2 to 3 week project, which was a crock of shit. I got these back 4 months later, and I only have 3 of them because one of them got absolutely fucking destroyed in shipping. But I have 3 of them back, and my Fresh Continental Sport 02s mounted on these. And these are done in a hand brushed finish all the way through, so lips, faces, and barrel. And it's done in a HRE style dark tinted clear. And about a month ago I ordered new center caps because the adhesive is failing on 2 of them, and I still haven't heard anything back. So apparently the same parent company that owns Ford Star and Weld and CCW, they're just all trash about shipping things on time, which you spend your hard-earned dollars on and you work for. But needless to say, I'm not terribly pleased. I don't think I'm ever going to send another set of wheels to these guys. They did great work on the 3 wheels that were fine, but as you saw in those pictures, I was not terribly pleased about it, considering that this was a $1,600 job. Not counting the shipping there, which was another $250 just for the wheels. But I just don't have a terribly good opinion of these guys anymore, even though the work looks nice. I had to call twice to get somebody on the phone to explain why the one wheel had that enormous gash all the way through the powder coating into the metal. And so now I have their owner's personal phone number from when he goes, "Oh, well, I'm real sorry about this." I said, "Well, you had a 2 to 3 week project turn into a 4-month project, and I understand they had staffing issues, but when you have staffing issues and you have a $1,000 set of wheels from somebody that's 17 hours away, you have to keep in contact with them." It's beyond fucking irritating. They wouldn't answer the phone, wouldn't answer text messages from their employees, the employee's phone number that I had. But once I get the 4th wheel back, which they said should be quicker, and we will see about that. If you can tell I'm fucking irritated about this, it's because I am. But once that's done, I'm definitely going to be finding somebody else to refinish or repair wheels down the line. But onto the main project for today, now that I'm done being irritated at R&D. Again, great work. 3/4, great work. Just don't do business with them if you're far away. I got some parts from Canada for the Impala. So this is stuff I've been waiting for quite a while. I've actually had this box sitting in a closet for about 8 months now, since I got this on sale and recently picked the final pieces up. One from the company and a couple other parts from a good local LT1 friend in town. So we'll go ahead and open these up and see what's in here. First small box was a super nice set of pre-terminated, really nicely done LS coil wire brackets that are meant to work with an LT1 PCM swap. So obviously we're going to be putting a torque head on the car. The only things I'm really concerned about right now are if these will clear the breathers on my valve covers, but everything is already, I mean, again, super nicely labeled. Everything's almost perfectly done. It's all nicely brushed and anodized. The labeling looks nice. All the hardware looks primo. It also comes with an integrated pre-done ground, and these are all meant to be bolt-ons for LT1 cars. The only thing I'm curious about is if it will work with the breathers that I have on my valve covers along with my oil fill, but we will figure that out once we get going. If I have to swap valve covers, not a big deal. So we will be doing a full torque head install on the car. So I bought the mid-range kit since I was able to source coils from a friend here in town who also has a torque head on his LT1 car, but his is a 6-speed 96 Camaro. So I've done this before. I understand how this stuff works. It includes a full PCM, which has the added port for your LS style ignition coils and bracketry. But aside from that, this will take a full OEM LT1 color-coded harness, which is all super nice. I know some people have complaints that this is a proprietary piece, but the added LS tunability that you get, and it will also support traction control, I believe, in stick shift cars. So like a lot of the stick shift Camaros will come with traction control integrated from the factory, but they also make two different styles of these. So this is a pin drive, I believe, for a 96-97 LT car. These all come with O-rings on them, which is super nice, but it comes with a camshaft position sensor and a crankshaft position sensor already pre-installed, and the hardware is in there too, but you do need to gap and center this over the hub, which they do include a new hub, so the crank pulley is going to have to come off, which is a notorious bastard for LT1 cars, but they do make two styles of these. This is the standard one, since I don't have any intentions on going away from a standard style hub or a stock LT1 hub and pulley at this point in time. But they do make them for an ATI super damper if you were to go the blower route. And the wiring is all super nice, pre-terminated. Everything's labeled, so they give you your even and your odd, your bank 1 and your bank 2 coils, which this is something I'm a big fan of. I really like kits like this or setups like this where everything comes really nicely pre-terminated. And I could have gone with the whole coil manifold that sits on top of the intake manifold, but not a fan of that look. Plus I have my Rasbot covers. And I would rather run these and hopefully be able to retain the Rasbot covers for my whole entire intake manifold. So, but they also include a very nice set of very specific instructions detailing everything. So they have your actual torque head install, so the ECM and everything else, along with the wiring instructions and everything relating to the ECM. So right now, this has just a stock LT1 tune from torque head placed on it, so the car is going to need to obviously be retuned, so we'll be having Scram Speed do that, along with doing the transmission tuning and the mapping for that, since the car does have a built trans with a modified valve body and a stall. So that's going to need to be fiddled with, but for the time being, this is hopefully going to be fixing my optispark doing optispark issues, which has been part of the reason why I haven't really driven the car at all lately. I go ahead and start on disassembly. Got to grab some of my tools out of my work truck. Might go grab some Scotch-Brite pads to pretty up the intake manifold since it's pretty gross. But I do actually have a spare intake manifold and a spare set of aluminum cylinder heads that I do have to send off to get ported by Lloyd Elliott. I'd also like to get a camshaft and do a bunch of other stuff to this. But since this is the primary project, this has kind of been sitting on the back burner for a while, ever since I did just cosmetic stuff and replace the header gaskets and new hardware on those. So we're going to go ahead and start digging into this and see if I can't fuck this up.